Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the video. If you're new here, then just generally welcome. Today we're going to be talking about sneakers and can you make money buying and selling sneakers. I'm going to go into a couple of the details of the differences between some of them, some of the apps that I use, and yeah, whether you can make some money. But first of all, I suppose let's just get into the video. You might call them sneakers, trainers, crepes, whatever you call them. Sneakers is generally the thing that people call them around the world. Now, we're not talking about the ones that you buy and sell that have just come from your normal shop. We're talking about the Nikes, the New Balances, and the Adidas, and specifically some certain types that you can make some decent returns on. The prefix, there is a risk in this that you get so involved that you think, I really like to collect them, and end up with many pairs. Just like I have. Can't make money out every single pair. For example, I love the Nike Air Max 90s, but they're not massively good for making money on. But then I just have a collection of loads of them because I can't help myself. The Air Jordan 1s are pretty good, but again, not all of them. These mockers aren't massively good for resale, but again, I really liked them. So like I said, it's a pretty dangerous game that you can play. There is indeed money to be made, and there are some absolute gems out there, much like these, that I will take you into in just a moment. So these sorts of sneakers, they are released incrementally and they tend to be of small numbers as well. So again, there is an increased scarcity and obviously a large demand. This is why they can sell higher in the resale market, which is bonus for people trying to make money. But the competition is very tough, and there are now many types of bots that try and buy them before you can get them, the little bastards. And these release dates can be found on a number of different apps. I use Droplist, I use SNKRADDICTED, and I tend to get those through as notifications on my phone, or I can check in that week when releases are going to happen. I'll put a link in the description to all the different apps I use as well, so you can take a look at those and see if they're of interest to you as well. But there might be many releases in that week, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you can make money on all of these different shoes, because you can't, and some of them you will just lose money on, or just not make any money on. It's not worth the effort. Another thing I point out as well is this is not massively passive. I think I'd class this more as a side hustle. You can do it alongside your day job, but it's not passive. It's not passive in the sense that you need to do all the research, make sure you're actually buying things that are going to be able to be sold for a profit. Then you need to obviously do the posting, all of these sorts of things. So there is work involved, and there is upfront capital involved too. You need to obviously buy before you can sell. So you need to be able to float that. So a credit card used wisely is a good thing to have in this situation. So what's the best way to do it? How do you do it? How do you find out if you can make any money? So for example, you get the notification, there's a release happening today. For example, today there was an Adidas Low Grinch. And I thought, oh, it's Grinch, a special edition. It looks quite good. It's in a fancy box. The Forum Lows I have, which is the Bad Bunny one I have and I just showed you. So what I would then do is I would look that up and I'd go onto StockX, and I know StockX gets a lot of hate, but it's very good to understand what the sort of market value is at present, the range that you can get, because obviously if you want to sell these straight away, on StockX you have people that are willing to buy them right there, because you have bids and asks. A bid is someone that is bidding for one, and an ask is someone that's selling one. So you can match the two. So you can see exactly what people are willing to pay right then and there. The Grinches were selling for £110. So then the first thing I'd do is go on to StockX, check out the Grinches, see if they've already been released previously, and this is just a re-release, and then see what the bids and asks are. And I can see that people are willing to buy these currently for around 112 in the middle. So after fees, for the maximum, you actually only take home 98. So of course you're gonna lose money on those. It's not really a good deal. However, there were some Jordan 4s that were released the end of last month. I think they're called the Retro Navies. Jordan 4s tends to do quite well, and they are reselling for about 100 over resale price, so retail price. And that tends to be my process. I will look, and I mainly focus on Jordan 1s, Jordan 4s. They seem to be the ones that are the best resellers. But it's equally just not that easy too. So you can't just go, well, I found one that's gonna make me some money, or potentially make me some money, and then go, okay, sweet, I'm gonna buy them. You have to then enter the raffles, because every one of these is done by a raffle system now. So you say, I would love to enter this raffle, here's some money, which is why a credit card's pretty good, because it will pre-charge it. And then you say, okay, am I gonna win it? Well, I don't really know. And then you have to wait and see. You know what I mean? So then potentially you might win it, potentially you might win many of them. So you've got to work that out too. So if you enter 5 raffles, you could potentially win 5 sets of these shoes. So you're only going to go for the ones that you really think, for me anyway, are going to have some decent margins on them. Like if you did it on something that was just like a $20 margin or €20 margin, it's just really not worth your time. I mean, over 5 of them, sure, then you'd have 100, but that's quite a lot of effort to do for 100 of them, and it's quite a lot of an outlay for money, even if it's on your credit card. You know what I mean? And sometimes it can be crazy frustrating. Like I said, there is quite a lot of competition, and these bots are bloody ferocious. So when they open the bidding or open the raffles or even open the buying, because they only release them at a certain time on a certain day, trying to get them in that time, sometimes you have to enter a queue, sometimes it's just highly frustrating. So again, this is not massively passive if you're having to do these things. But if you've done your research, you found a shoe that you really think is going to have a decent margin, and you get them, it's a really good thing. And like I said, the Jordan 4s with about 100 margin on tend to be pretty good. The chance of you getting like 10 sets of Jordan 4s in a month is pretty low. But at the same time, there are people that are making, 500 to 1,000 on doing this in a month. And I think that's pretty good. Especially because it doesn't really take like much skill. You have to do the research and stuff like that. But it doesn't really take much skill to do. You just have to take the time to really do it and understand what you're buying and selling. But then you sometimes hit on an absolute corker, and that's where this one comes in. So I bought this. This is again, it's a Adidas Forum Low, but it's actually a collaboration with Bad Bunny, who's a South American artist and does design. And so these are the Bad Bunny Easter egg pinks, and these were $160 at retail. I think I've had them for about a year now. So I've been sitting on these because I don't need to sell them. And that's one of the decisions you have to make as well. Like, are you trying to flip these as quickly as possible? And sometimes if you think about it, these are unworn, these are brand new in box. They have everything with them. So that number of those will decrease as the time goes on. And that's where value can increase as well. So you need to work out whether you want to just flip them straight away and make the smaller margins, or if you're willing to hold on to them, which is obviously cash flow for longer, but with potentially larger margins. It makes sense? You got it? We up to date? Yes. Like I said, I've had these for about a year now. They cost me $160, and I checked recently, and if I went to StockX and saw, what are these going for today? They're going for about 700 euros, which is clearly a massive jump. But there are some sites out there that these are going for over $1,000, which is just insane. Like that's like a 900 profit margin on a shoe. But it's not unheard of, especially for some of the collaborations, some of the more limited edition sneakers that you've got out there. It is not unheard of, but they are harder and harder to get your hands on in the first place. Like I said though, it's not exactly rocket science. You just have to try and do the research to make sure, and if you're really not sure if you can make a margin on something, don't risk it. Also, like I said, make sure you don't go down that rabbit hole and end up with 30 pairs of sneakers. I have issues. But if you have stronger willpower than me, which isn't really that difficult, it is something that can genuinely make you some decent margins and some decent profit. You just have to be competitive and up against all the people that are currently doing it. Because, like anything, when something works and something does provide some value and provide some money back, people are gonna get in on it. That's just how this system works. And so to answer the question that I started at the beginning, can you make money on this? Yes, I've shown that you can definitely make money. And I have made money doing this myself. I know this is a kind of different video from my normal because it's not an app, it's not a thing like that, it's not like, but it's a decent and valid way that anyone, man, woman, child, although it does take some capital, can do this. There's no barrier to entry apart from the initial cash flow, so why wouldn't I cover it? Apologies for the lack of video recently. I have been ill, but clearly I am back to full health now. I personally love the buying and selling. I think it's great. I equally follow quite a few thrifty people that buy and sell stuff from charity stores and stuff like that. I think that stuff's great. I think getting really your hands, I think it's like physical sort of stuff, isn't it? Where you can really pick out some bargains and find stuff. Where I think that though takes a lot more knowledge and understanding of the clothes and things like that you're actually picking out to buy and sell, whereas there's enough research on this at the moment to be able to just use an app to really help you. And you can do it from the comfort of your own home. You can just be sitting in your chair like me and just be like, oh look, I've just bought a couple of sneakers and I'm going to sell them. Perfect. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and Let me know what you have bought and sold, and if you have bought and sold anything other than sneakers, or it could be anything. And don't forget to like the video and share with everyone, including your nan. She might be interested or she might not. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Peace.